Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Ducks Gaming and a new series on the channel where we're going to run an SSF 0 to hero character. I've pretty much finished on Trade League and I'm still enjoying the league, want to try a few more things with mercenaries, but I'm kind of swimming in so much currency that I don't really have any limits to what I can do in trade, and it doesn't feel great for me. I like having more of a challenge. So we're going to go and we're going to start a new character in SSF, and it's going to be a Reign of Arrows champion. It's a build I ran a few leagues ago, really enjoyed it. It's definitely lost its power compared to other builds where others have crept up, but it's still a really fun build, and I think mercenaries can be the difference between a build that maybe was fairly average to being fairly decent this league. It's a very comfy playstyle, it's got enough defenses for new players and has enough damage. So what I'm going to run through is where the character is at the moment. You've already seen all the highlights at the beginning of the episode for the campaign. It was super smooth, but I wouldn't say I rushed through. I probably took 6 to 7 hours, which is at least an hour and a half longer than I would normally take. That's the cat, not the one behind me, the one down at my feet whinging for fuss. Where was I? Lost my train of thought. Yeah, didn't rush through the campaign. Wanted to try some different mercenaries, and I basically came to the conclusion that you either use a mercenary for the buffs it gives, so you can find one with 2 auras is worth running. Other than that, it's really not worth it because they do make it that you deal less damage. It's very unlikely a mercenary in the campaign, unless you find a really lucky one or you spend ages gearing it, is going to do enough damage to make up for the 50% extra monster health that the unique enemies and bosses will get. So I'm still running without a mercenary. I'm in sort of tier 3 to 4 maps because I haven't found one that really fits the bill, that makes it worth the content being a little bit more difficult. Sorry, the cats have been quiet all day, and then I record a video and they decide to go feral. So I put a very rough POB in for my leveling. It uses quite a few respec points, and there are things that you definitely have to balance. It isn't for brand new players, but if you're familiar with having to respec during acts, it's not going to be too much of an issue. We do use Reign of Arrows as soon as it becomes available at level 12, but there are some difficulties around in Adrenaline, which is the first buff that we take for our champion ascendancy, and Precise Technique to make sure that you're doing a lot of damage. If you don't follow the instructions for Adrenaline and Precise Technique, it's going to be pretty Z DPS. So the way this series is going to work is I'm actually going to do it fairly in depth. So rather than just a video where I do the campaign, then I've got my void stones, then I'm blitzing content with like a really maxed out character, I want to go through my goals of what I aim for the character and how I go about doing that. So it's going to be what gear I look for, where I go to do that, how I get my character powerful enough to do that. So at least if you wanted to play along, hopefully this video allows you to do that because you can see step by step what I'm doing. So this is really just leveling, campaign and maps. My character now is good enough to probably get up to yellow tier maps. If I can get a 5 link, which I'll try to gamble with Faustus to get one, then it should be good enough for sort of mid-tier yellow maps without really needing to make any upgrades, and that at least give me enough points to be able to set up a first farming tree and look at what areas I might want to farm. It's SSF, so I can't rely on any uniques, so realistically this is going to need a decent 6-link setup to get my Atlas clear. Uber Elder and Maven are difficult on this build, so I am going to have to gear for that, but again, episodes of the video will cover that off. Having a blast doing it. Apologies, it's been quite a while since the last video. I've been on holiday, and I also leveled up 2 other characters to do 0 to heroes, but I absolutely hated them. First one I tried was an Elementalist. I followed a build guide that got a lot of positive comments. I really didn't like it. It felt very, very squishy and felt like SSF wise it would take an absolute ton of work to even get 2 void stones. I think it's a build that would work really well on trade, but SSF, it just wasn't for me. I persevered through to about level 82 and I was struggling on like early yellow tier maps, so I just quit the build, deleted the character, migrated, and then we started again. Second SSF character, the plan was to do basically a merc only run where I can only use skills that provide buffs. They could provide damage, but they had to provide some sort of buff. So I was trying to buff up my mercenary playing a guardian. We were using things like Holy Flame Totem for some live free gem. We were using skills like Wave of Combustion to get resistances lower. I was taking loads of mana reservation, running loads of auras, but the merc was still Z DPS. It took me about 6 hours to get through 4 acts with me not being able to do damage. It was rubbish. It would have taken me forever to get through, and without access to trade, I don't think I ever would have got it doing enough damage to have any fun. So that one went in the bin as well, and then we again migrated all the characters over to start afresh. And then I settled on this Reign of Arrows character, which I'm having a blast with. And I remember why I loved this character so much. You absolutely zoom from about Act 5. A map takes about 1.5 to 2 minutes to complete. It's not the best DPS build in the world, but it is so quick for getting around your map, and you've got enough buffs to get the boss down fairly quickly. So we'll log in and we'll have a look at the character. I have died a few times, mainly to mercs, where I decided that I can just take on anything. In fact, I died in my very first map. The footage has probably already been. I came across a chaos damage merc that had pretty decent gear. I decided to take him on to get the bubblegum currency that he had, and he put 1 damage over time chaos degen on me, and it wiped me out. It was to be expected. I'm at minus 60 chaos res. I've only just got to maps, and then in the maps, couple of times I wanted to take a weapon off a merc because they were really good. I found out that yes, the weapon was good because I got one shot a couple of times. But other than that, I felt pretty safe. Outside of me taking on mercs that I probably shouldn't have, it's been pretty safe and comfy. So the build gear that I've got on at the moment is in the POB, so I won't go through it in too much detail. I just want to talk about 2 things just in case people are following along. First one is I don't have much currency, so my sockets are a little bit scuffed. So you can see here I've actually got Blink Arrow linked up to my Corrupting Fever setup, which includes Second Wind, so I get 2 charges, but the cooldown is a lot longer. That's not intentional, it's just the fact that was the easiest gem for me to link up, because if I link up Sniper's Mark, it's going to cost an absolute ton of mana, and then if I link up Precision, it's going to increase the reservation cost and put it onto my life, and I don't want any of that. So other than the rest of the links, I think they're all okay. You could obviously run just Flame Dash here if you wanted to, but I don't have a blue socket. Other than that, I think the links are generally okay. In terms of Ascendancy, I went first to strike, last to fall first. Getting Adrenaline is just amazing. It gives you damage reduction, and movement speed. Then go Fortitude to give me and my merc 20 fortification. And then I went the Taunt node because it's 15% increased damage. It also means once I switch away from Precise Technique and go crit, I don't really have to worry about being accuracy capped, because once you hit an enemy, that enemy then can't evade your attack, so you've basically got 100% accuracy. And then if we do Uberlab, or when we do Uberlab, it'll be non-curse aura effects. If we ever get this character giga juiced and get stuff that boosts fortification up, we could go Unstoppable Hero, but I think it's very unlikely that this character is going to be able to farm Uber Exarch. And the idea of this playthrough is this is a playthrough for the account rather than a character. So this is my League Start character. I want it to get my full Void Stones. Then when this can farm gear, then I'm probably then going to level another character to do really, really juice content, because this skill is not really designed for that. This is like a nice, comfortable, clear skill. Can do decent single target damage if you really invest in the gear, but it has a very, very low ceiling in terms of a damage cap. It's very hard to boost it a long way, but I think it works really well on not a lot of gear. The skill tree, I have no idea if this is optimal, but it's kind of what's worked best for me. I've spent a lot of points trying different things, which is not ideal in SSF because I'm now out of gold and out of respec points. But yeah, so far it's working pretty well. It's all in the POB, along with respect steps that you need to take and other things you might need to consider if you're playing the build. So at the moment, we're probably about 5 to 10 points shy of where I want to be to switch to crit. I think mid 80s would give me enough points to go crit, and then I just need to find a bow with better base crit chance. Even with this bow, because I got really lucky with this, it's T5, T5, T4 at this stage of the playthrough. That's very, very good. Even had space to craft attack speed. So this isn't ideal for a crit build because the crit chance is really low. It would probably still be better than Precise Technique once I can put things like Assassin's Mark, Diamond Flask. There's lots of good projectile crit nodes on the tree. But that's something we'll tackle in the next video. As I don't have a merc at the minute, I was running this sniper. It actually worked really well for me because I geared it up like it's got pretty decent gear. I'm just looking for one that's high level because this is 53. I've not found one yet. I'm going to look for a bow merc because I want to do like some sort of synergy where we're all using bow attacks just for fun. Whether it's good or not, I have no idea. It also means that I can collect my old gear and then put it onto my merc. So at least I'm not wasting gear in SSF. When I get an upgrade that might be a 5% damage increase, I can put my old gear onto a merc and I can have like a mini me running around helping me out. The main reason for this merc was purely for haste and grace, but even at this stage they don't make up for the fact that bosses take a little bit longer. Grace you really shouldn't need if you've got an adequately geared character in early maps. It's very unlikely you're going to die with the kind of fortify setup. I'm also running Arctic armor. I just won't die to a physical attack. I know I won't. So grace is probably not that useful. I think the most important thing for me when you get to maps, if you can be at spell suppression cap or near cap, That's much, much better than having a slightly higher chance to evade attacks. That's kind of it for the first video. This is really just a quick introductory one. It's a build a lot of people asked me to build a fleshed out League Start guide for, but I wasn't 100% comfortable that it would suit most people's needs because it does definitely fall off and takes a lot of investment to get full void stats. However, after looking through build guides that are available for this league, trying different builds out, there weren't many that can do the content cheap. So I'm kind of thinking I probably should have bought a build guide out for this, and it might be one that I do next league. We'll just see what changes they make. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and see you in the next one.